All right. So welcome to the Norwalk Public Schools Board of Education Facilities Committee monthly meeting. The date is Wednesday, May 24th, 2023. It is currently 6:02 p.m. and I am joined here by my board colleagues, Diana Carpio and Colin Hostin. So why don't we get our meeting started? First item on the agenda is should I restart? We okay?
No, we're good.
Okay, guys, I just got the we're recording message. Okay. All right. So first action of order is to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Diana, Colin, any comments, or do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I didn't see any issues in it, so motion to approve.
No changes here.
Great. And I also was fine with those minutes. So minutes approved from last month's meeting.
Yes.
I understand that we do not have any public comments this evening, so we will move into the project updates. And Sandra, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. And I am joined per usual with our city site team and our NPS team. So I'm joined by Alan Lowe from the city's engineering and facilities department. And for our team, I'm joined by William Hodel, and Dan Phillips and Mike Faenza join us from the city team with Construction Solutions Group. And we decided to do something a little bit different. We're going to do our updates, but in doing so, we wanted to highlight our Norwalk School Construction Project page. So we're going to try to actually deliver these updates using that page. So bear with me while I share my screen. We are excited to actually have a Norwalk school construction website that is found on our NPS page. Currently it lives here, but as you know, we have a new website that's going to be launched in July, and then it'll be a permanent tile where people can easily access it according to our communications department. Now, this website was done in partnership with the city and actually funded solely through the city, but luckily we pulled our own weight because I had to organize all the information. So that's how we split the duties. So I thank Alan Lowe and his team for supporting this project. Now, as we go on, you will see that the website I hope you could see it. Okay. The website currently features our 4 projects. The 4 projects that we have are the Norwalk High School P-TECH project, the South Norwalk School project, the Cranberry Elementary School project, and the Silvermine Driveway project. Obviously, as these are closed out, they will live within the website, but as new projects come on, we will add them to the website. They all follow pretty much the same format, which has project updates, timelines, pertinent documents to the project. So today we're not going to go through all of them because we don't actually have updates for each project, but we're going to actually toggle through for the ones where we do have some updates. And we're going to begin with our Cranberry School project. And I'm going to, while we have this in the background, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Faenza to just give us an update on the project. Mike, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Can everyone hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Cranberry project's progressing very well at this point. The project is on schedule and will be open for next school year. The packing at the building has begun. Deliveries of boxes and packing material have commenced. And the teachers have begun to start packing stuff that isn't being utilized for the rest of the school year. with the majority of the items being packed up once the students leave. The staff will be in the building through the 21st of June. At that point, they'll depart the building. All of their boxes and items that they would like moved to the new building will be ready for the movers. And on the 22nd, we'll begin the moving of all of the teachers' belongings into the new building. As far as the new building is concerned, the site work activities on site are in full swing at this point. Contractors doing all the grading, starting the installation of the playgrounds on the new site side of the property. Once the staff, students and faculty depart the building, there's about a week's time from the 22nd of June through the end of the following week for all of the furniture and other items that are going to be salvaged and moved to be moved out of the building. And at that time, the hazardous materials will be removed from the existing building, and the demolition will start to make way for the new fields, parking area, and bus loop.
Any questions regarding the Cranberry School project? Actually, all pretty good news.
Yeah,
No questions. I'm just very excited about the new website and everything.
Oh, thank you.
just three quick things. I think what we're going to do is schedule a tour with the Board of Education member and the Common Council members, probably sometime in middle to late June, to tour the building. That's one thing. Second of all, it's I think with this transition with the building opening up and then tear down the existing building, so we are providing enough parking spaces for the teachers, but it's going to be still going to be a little challenge when school opens in terms of operation of the parking lot. But at the same time, we got to live with that part about 2 months since we opened. So by October, November, so I think we should be in much better position. So they are going to be continue to be more. Right now it's not too bad, but I mean, when they open, there's going to be some challenges, but we are doing everything we can to manage that. So Janet, our principal, has been very, very helpful in this process of planning. So the last one I have is that just want you to know that we are looking, the schedule is still very tight. We are working with the police and fire department for after the school ends. It's really not for general public information, but we're looking to do for the police department, fire department to do drills in the building before we tear it down. So that will help the police department to do their kind of unique drill in the school building. We try to leave the furniture there to as long as we can. They probably have a couple of days to do drills, so for their security drills and practice and rescue and stuff like that. So I just want to let you know that in case you hear this discussion in the community about a lot of emergency vehicle in the area. We are planning that in probably the third week of after school ends, but a week after that. That's what we see. We can be supportive of the police and fire department.
Alan, you mean to say that the drills will be in the new school, correct?
No, old school.
Oh, the old school. Why would that be?
Huh?
Why are they drilling in the old school if they're not going to be in there?
Maybe
This is,
potentially.
yeah, go ahead, Alan. It's not unusual. It's their own drills that they do for their own training for the
Oh, okay,
police
like their
department. It's not.
requirement.
Yeah, they may be
Yeah,
breaking
it's their
down
own
doors
requirement,
stuff
and
like that.
they require a setting. So we
Okay, I
provide
thought
them
it
usually
was
with
like-
like an empty building
Right.
or even an after hours building
I see.
in order for them to do their own drills.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I was thinking that it was so that they become familiar with the new campus and the layout of the building, but I
Yeah.
understand now.
They do that
Um,
regularly, but this is an opportunity for them to do a little more destructive kind of drills.
Gotcha.
It's very
Okay.
unique, really unique
Yeah.
opportunity for them. So,
Okay.
I just want to let you know
I-
that's in case they hear something funny
Well,
going on. And
I mean, should we like proactively, or is the principal going to be communicating that to that community?
oh yeah, we
will.
would do all
Okay.
that. Yeah. So
All
that's
right.
the same reason I want to let you know that there are these thoughts and ideas behind the scene to
Okay.
do this kind of very unique kind of drills. So.
Because I can see that bubbling up on social media.
And
You
Karen,
know,
this is after school lets out.
Right, but still, you know,
No,
parents
yeah,
saying
but we
what's
will.
going on at
Absolutely.
Cranberry. Right.
Mhm.
So we should be keeping an eye on that. Communication should be watching.
We are having
Um,
all those discussions. That's the same reason I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then with regards to the opening of the school there next year, and first of all, I'm so excited for this, and I'm sure that this community is as well. And it looks absolutely amazing. But so, and I know we've talked about this before, just the the process of getting the school up and running once school opens up in the end of August, and maybe more importantly, the destruction of the old building. How much of the building will be actually down and demolished by the time school starts?
It's difficult. There's still a lot of planning behind the scenes as to how the logistics of the demolition is going to go. The biggest push through the summer will be to get the hazardous materials remediated from the building. So when the students return back to campus, there's either very limited work with regards to that going on or none at all.
Okay.
The preliminary conversations that I've heard now is that the gym will come down first because a large portion of the new parking and bus loop ends up going in that area. And then you'll start to see the two wings. If you can visualize the building as basically a big V, with the bottom of the V being towards the parking lot. And we're still logistically trying to figure that out. Likely, in the preliminary conversations, it'll likely be the gym and then the wing closest to the building first. And again, that message as far as the demolition is concerned will be relayed to, all of the stakeholders involved.
Right. But I mean, just to set expectations with this community, there's going to be demolition going on in the beginning of
Yes.
their school year.
I mean, if I'm taking a wild guess here, because I haven't really looked at those plans, but just from my experience perspective, maybe 30% of the building would be down. So don't quote me on this. It's just,
Right.
I mean, by the time we go through, July, half of July, or to do remediation, and they probably start with the gym wing first, and then keep going remediation while they start tearing the gym's portion. I would say maybe 30%. I think it's a quick guesstimate.
So it's going to be noisy and it's going to be messy. Like, are we concerned about air quality?
The noise portion of it will probably be the harder one to control. The dust and air quality, they'll be using hoses and everything to keep the dust down. So I don't anticipate that being as large of a concern, and it'll be something that'll be monitored, throughout the day while the demolition is going on, to ensure that the community is safe while the demolition is going on. The other important thing I think everyone will need to understand as far as the demolition, once the demolition happens, there's quite a bit of work that's required in the area where the old school goes on. So work will be going on once the entire building's demolished, as far as grading and site establishment on that side of the property. And that, there likely may be a lull when the winter comes, and then potentially, more planting and landscaping that following spring, and then, the fields would be ready at that time. So there will be activity there even once the building comes down.
Colin, did you have any questions about Cranberry?
Am I okay to move on? Or
Yeah, you're
Colin,
okay.
any
I was
questions, any
wondering.
comments?
No, it's not for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So with that, we're gonna give you an update on Silver Mine project.
Oh, yes, Sandra, thank you. I'll take this one.
Thank you so much.
The Silver Mine Drive, as we mentioned earlier, and everything's been approved, starts this summer and ends this summer. It's a 9-week project. And in fact, on June 1st, a large amount of the drainage system is being delivered to the site in anticipation of a June 20th start date. There was a minor change, and that being the lower parking lot will remain as was always planned, and the exit lanes will remain as always planned, the bus loop as well. There was originally a plan to have additional parking spaces up top. And there are city regulations that a 40-foot setback that could not take place, so we had to not eliminate, but we had to reduce the amount of spaces up top. So number one had to be ADA spaces had to remain, of which this site requires a maximum of 3. And we were able to get an additional space, which will be assigned by the principal for either a visitor or perhaps a reserved space for someone. So this, I really have nothing else to add other than it's on schedule. We have a very well-respected contractor starting the work who has done some work with us already and has also renovated the Merit 7 train station not far from Silvermine. So again, the only update is we reduced the amount of parking up top. Nothing has changed below. Everything's on schedule and the site will be, it will begin in the next couple of weeks. This rendering here shows you the parking up top along the bus loop.
Bill, how many spots did we reduce it by? Because I don't want people to get the impression that the spots, how many spots were actually reduced.
There were 9, now there are 4.
Okay, so it was a reduction of 5 spots up top. Okay. Any questions regarding Silvermine? It's finally happening.
Yeah, finally. I know that they will be thrilled come August.
Okay. If there are no questions, I'm going to move on to the next project. Okay, thank you. Alan, I'm actually going to maybe switch out of the website for the South Norwalk project. Is that okay with you? Alan?
Yeah.
Do you want me to switch out of the website for the South Norwalk
Yeah,
project
maybe
and
I do
and
it at the end.
show
Maybe
show
we go
it?
for North High a little bit quickly, and then we go South
Yeah,
Norwalk.
you want to go through Norwalk High? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do that.
And
So do you want to talk?
yeah, Norwalk
Mhm.
High, we don't have a lot of update. We were just generally just very busy with doing construction document phase. We're preparing the drawings and all the construction drawings and specifications. We're looking to finish that in July sometimes, and then we will submit to the state for well, there's still a whole bunch of stuff we need to do, but yeah, we look to submit to the state and then go out to bid. We are looking to do like an early bid package because certain material there's a long delivery lead time. We want to go advertise and get that out quicker so that we are trying to get ahead of the schedule a little bit. We are also in the process of modifying our schedule. Originally, our schedule was supposed to move in and during a Christmas break, but that is create a substantial challenge in terms of moving stuff, as well as once you move from the old building to a new building, we still have to do site reconfiguration in order to set up for the new operation of the building. So within the 1 week period, it's just extremely challenging. And at time, we also talked about back then about potentially Norwalk High School will have a 2-week vacation. But since then, we have developed a new schedule that moved the opening of school to the summer. I mean, not open schools, to finish the project in the summer and instead of Christmas time. And that way, we had a whole summer to do the move and we configure the site. This does not extend the overall length of the project, so it's still going to be about a 5-year project. So we're opening the athletic facility and all will not change. We are condensing certain things and modifying certain demolition process and everything else. So we are working very hard to get this improving our schedule and to deliver the projects. Though there's still many challenges ahead. We have zoning approval already, and and then really just next couple of steps, state approval, and then go out to bid. So we are still on schedule to start probably in Dan, can you it's going to be like January or something like, or January, February. That's when we starts demolition, right? Is that what it is? A site preparation.
Yeah, mobilize and start breaking ground in late January of 2024.
Originally, we were talking about December, so we're a couple of months later, but at the same time, that's fine because we are kind of condensing some of the demolition time and stuff like that. So we are in a good place from that perspective.
Alan, sorry, can you go back to what you were saying about the opening of, or sorry, the transition? So if it's not happening Christmas break, 5 years out, it's happening the following summer
No,
or the
no.
previous?
I think Dan, maybe you can explain a little better than I could. I think originally we were going to move in December of 4 years from now, right? So December 2027, is that correct?
Yes, 2027 December. So the move would actually looking at it's 3 years, so 24.
3-year construction. We reduces the demolition period. We find ways.
So you
to-
pulled it in.
Yeah.
So the transition into the new school is happening sooner,
No, later.
later. So at
6
the
months
end
later,
of the
generally
school
speaking.
year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So the timeline is extended, like on a calendar, right?
Yeah, it's not like completion day is the same, but there's two phases. One is like construction of new building, then we move the kids in, and then we do demolition of existing building and create all the athletic fields, facilities. So what we're doing is we are going to start like maybe 2 months later, but we finish instead of finishing the new building in December 2027, we'll finish this. I think it's like April or May of 2028, and then so we have a whole summer to get to work on the move. But meanwhile, we can start doing demolition as soon as the school's out on 2028. So overall, we are on original schedule in terms of completion and ability to open the athletic field for sports in the fall semester.
Okay, so
Really-
sorry, I don't know if I'm tracking with you.
No,
So-
Kara, and what I'm gonna suggest that we do, I apologize because I would have had, if I knew that we were gonna go over the timeline, I would have updated it on the website. What I'm gonna suggest we do is we actually show you the timeline in writing so that you can actually
Yeah.
follow because.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
understand, like.
No,
if we
absolutely. And
were-
I don't want to mislead anybody
Yeah.
in terms of the timeline. So the timeline that's here doesn't reflect yet the changes. So I'm not going to pull that up,
Mhm.
but we can update the timeline on this project. Dan, would you be able to work on just those updates so to make sure that they're reflected in the website with
Yeah, I can provide an update.
KBA?
That
Okay.
schedule, it's kind of early. I know that's the direction we're moving.
Okay.
That schedule was proposed by Gilbane. We're working through reviewing all the different factors that go into that. So I don't have that schedule up. I just have the overall construction. And generally speaking, there's a couple of things that change where the building construction was extended slightly, but then the demolition was shortened and the tail end of the project was shortened as well. So that's the parking lot development, the field development. So the overall total months for the construction of the job remains the same, but the school construction is a little longer. The tail end site work, site development is a little shorter.
But the
But I don't-
move date is
So the-
pushed out on the calendar.
Yes, and there's the start, we initially were anticipating starting in late December. Now we're looking at second half of January. And so we moved out about a month there, which works favorably for the schedule as well as far as excavation and foundation work for winter protection and those requirements. So there's some cost savings there that we benefited from. And then that overall, the construction of the building is probably 2 months longer. And then we cut that off of the demolition and the development of the site.
So the kids will spend an entire year in the old school.
correct versus versus a half of a year. That is
Got it.
correct.
Okay,
It's no longer a mid-year move.
got it.
Correct.
Thank you.
The new schedule. will
Which
reflect.
was giving us a little bit, the mid-year move, to be frank, was giving everybody a little bit of an angst
Yeah.
just because it's over the holiday break.
Oh, yeah.
And then having the staff move their stuff also was, it was giving us a bit of agita also, but we have to make sure that we're communicating that to the community. So we will, as soon as we have a concrete schedule, I'll be sure to share it with you, and then we'll actually present it in writing so that you can actually follow along with the years and the months.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any questions regarding Norwalk High P-TECH project? I stopped sharing because I'm going to transition to a different mode of presenting. Is that okay? So can I move on to South Norwalk School? Okay. Alan, do you want to talk first, or should I pull up the pictures?
Yeah, you can put it, please. Put up the picture,
Sure.
please.
Alan, may I pull up the color rendering first, and then we can move to the black and white? Is that okay? Okay, so I will present.
So as you know, we went through the public three public session of trying to work meeting with the community, the school community, regarding the interests of the school community and all. And we are continuing to design the building. The interior layout is pretty much done in terms of where everything is. And this is pretty much the second pass on the exterior elevation. So it's not final by any means, but it's a second generation of development on kind of continue to improve the aesthetics. Part of it is to being in South Norwalk and being it's a traditional urban, somewhat industrial kind of community. We are looking to use, similar to this picture here, we are trying to capture some of these building exterior design elements like the panels and soffits and overhangs and things as window styles and all to incorporate into it. So that's the style of architecture we're looking at. Generally speaking, it's a two-story building. It is a two-story building, and it's pretty flat kind of thing in the sense that it's not a lot of jogging in and out. So it's really pretty flat. But we're trying to use colors and the vertical lines of windows and stuff to create a little more building interest. So this is our latest. So I just want to show everybody where we are. We are in the design development phase, and I guess Dan. So we are after we I think we're going to be submitting this to the state for review pretty soon, right?
Yeah, so we completed the design development documents. We're still in the design development phase. The construction manager is completing their estimate right now, and we're looking to meet with the state by the middle of June, late June. We're scheduling that meeting now. From there, the construction documents will be completed later this summer, and we'll go for our final review with the state before going out to bid.
Yeah, just a quick overview from the architecture design profession. We start with a conceptual design, then the schematic design, and then design development phase, which we are towards the end of. And then there's the construction document phase. We prepare all the construction document and bid packages and all that stuff, and specification writing and all that. And then bidding and construction. So the other thing I want to mention at this point is that there's two things I think that I want to mention. One is that since the acquisition of this property, the old Hedgeland Bailey property, some of the concern in the community has always been, I think that typically there's, generally speaking, there's four concerns. One is a safe route to school. The city has put ARPA funding $1.5 million about almost a year ago to the traffic mobility department to address improving all those. It's access as well as neighborhood not environmental access and quality of life kind of issues. So the $1.5 million probably will not be enough, but at the same time is that traffic mobility, we start looking at all the sidewalk originate from the site and out, and to continue to, it could be a multi-year, multi-phase project and get further and further away from the school. But at the same time, it's really a community improvement project. So there's $1.5 million assigned to it so far. And then the other issue, the concerns are the corner of this property is within the flood zone. So right now there are some occasional flooding at the intersection. And that it's partially because of the existing drainage conditions and stuff like that. So it is something that DPW need to look at, and and take efforts to correct. So what I'm proposing is to you to I'm requesting a special appropriation of $1 million from leftover money from Pona School projects to be allocated to this task of solving this drainage problem for DPW. So we want to keep this work as independent from the school construction project because we don't get reimbursed. It's not a reimbursable expense when you go off the property. So it's better to be treated as a separate project. And also this existing condition that the city needs to deal with. So by using some of the money, we're actually expediting the process of getting solving this drainage problem at the intersection. At the same time, this is critical to our project, for school project, because of access, student access, or public access to this property. So that's something that I'm moving forward to. I'm going to bring this to Land Use and Building Management Committee. At the same time, it's going to go to Board of Estimates pretty soon, I think in 2 weeks. And the day after, you go for a Planning and Zoning Commission and then the Common Council. So that's one thing we're doing. The third item that we always come up is just traffic at the intersection of South Mains, Meadow Street, and Wilson Avenue. Based on our traffic analysis, generally speaking, the traffic count, it's actually the level A or B, which is pretty good. I think that the image that we get from the intersection, it's a configuration issue. It's the offset intersections, they don't line up, and then you got stop sign, you go out a little bit, there's a old railroad abutment there, then you got to look around a little bit, then potentially you got to hesitate a little bit off. I think that creates a very unique kind of like intersection, sight lines, and movement kind of issue. Again, because these are existing condition, we don't want that. Our traffic consultant had looked at our the school project. Based on the size of the building, the number of parking spaces, and the trip generation during the peak morning and afternoon peak does not require any improvements. However, this traffic configuration, intersection configuration is a problem in a sense, but this is an existing condition outside of our building property limits. So I'm doing the same thing here. What I'm doing is that I'm moving $1 million leftover from Jefferson School for a special appropriation process to help fund a project for traffic mobility to evaluate and do improvement at the intersection. And then keep it away from the school project, because anything that traffic does on the intersection requires state permit because it's state road. And what happens, the state permit process takes about 2 years. So if I, on behalf of the city, on behalf of the school project, to take on this project would delay 2 years right immediately. But by keeping it separate, we will continue the school project because all our documentation, traffic documentation, is that intersection, we are not impacting to the intersection enough that we require any changes. But then overall, I think the city should improve the intersection because of sightline issues and stuff like that. So this way, we will achieve both goals. I will move money around a little bit to help out to speed up that process. At the same time, keep it away from school construction so it won't delay us. So it's another $1 million that we're looking at to start that process. So I've been working with traffic mobility and DPW, as well as the administration and the Common Council to identify all these issues and find solution to them. I think those are two, and then I think that there was last one, it's environmental. So we are doing, again, the site has always been, we did the phase 1, phase 2, tested, and generally speaking, it's considered a polluted site, which is an urban area, is very typical. But we are finding some area a little higher concentration of, I think the term we use is ash. So there is going to be some environmental remediation required or trucking material out. So we're looking at all that stuff. So we are conscious of all those 4 main issues that comes up when we talk about this property in the past. So generally speaking, for South Norwalk, when you look at a piece of property, this is a very unusual piece of property that we can find 11.7 acres. And I think anything you find in South Norwalk would be, I mean, we did not have to, move families or things like that to assemble a piece of property. And these conditions are I just talk about drainage and stuff. It's not very unusual. I mean, urban area need the water. These are not unusual kind of situation that we encounter, but at the same time, it costs money. So that's why I'm trying to find a way to find a balance to solve these issues. Phew. Okay.
Well, Alan, I appreciate your creativity in finding funding outside of the budget here for the school and NPS and working with the city. So thank you for looking for alternative solutions and also from a timeline perspective, because I do think that's critical. There's been a lot of concern about the traffic patterns and the safety of just, getting in and out of there.
The last thing I'll just very quickly. Last thing is that I've been having a number of meetings with South Norwalk Electric Works because it's South Norwalk. SNU is the body that provide power to the property. I've been working because this property is 11 acres. This upper portion of the property is somewhat flat, but it's very hard to get up to. It's about 50 feet above the average height, average elevation of the property. So it's an area that we will not be using. It's about 1.8 acres on top of it. We are looking at potentially put a ground-mounted solar system on top, plus the rooftop system. So we are potentially generating substantial electricity. So I have approached SNU already, and we have maybe 3 meetings already. We're gonna have another 4th one to see there's some kind of partnership between the city and SNU can work out a green project to provide ground mounted solar system in the area of property that we do not intend to use. And it's flat. There's no trees there now, so it's not like we have to cut down trees to save the environment. Kind of. Yeah, I didn't say that, did I? So it's an area that's pretty flat, and at the same time, we can't get up there because ADA access and getting up there is a problem. So I think this is a perfect use for the area. And SNU has expressed a strong interest in working with the city to develop something. How it's going to be developed is going to be very complicated in terms of financial as well as legal and in the world of utility regulations and stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff we need to challenges that we have to look at. But at the same time, I just want to let you know that there is a serious conversation to see how what we can do on this property. Again, we are projecting that we'll be generating more electricity than we can use. So that's why SNU may be involved. But at the same time, these numbers don't hold me to it. We are actually meeting tomorrow to get more information, how much we can generate and stuff. But it would be a very good project for SNU as well for a city/school project.
That's great. Sounds like a bonus.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions regarding South Norwalk? No?
Sandra, I just wanted to echo, I think I really appreciate the creative thinking that Alan and team are using to address some of the neighborhood's concerns and traffic concerns. And to echo what Diana said earlier about the website, which looks really terrific. And I was wondering if we could, I know it's a little early for the South Norwalk project, but could we include some of these updates on the website so that folks can follow along and make sure that some of their concerns are, yeah.
Absolutely. So that's the deal. That's the idea behind the website. So most of what we shared, other than the renderings that you just saw, you guys see it first. So it'll go to you, it'll go to land use, and then we would update the website with whatever has sort of received the stamp of approval, for lack of better words. So everything else has already been updated. And then once the SNU and all those other things are finalized, we would update those also. But again, it'll go here first. It goes to land use also, and then or other committees that we would need to vet information through. And then we have somebody that actually updates the website for us the minute we send them the information that needs to be updated. So yes, Colin, we are of one mind when it comes to that.
Love it. Thank you.
Then. Thank you so much.
I know, Sandra's. I do this all the time. I just want to backtrack one other thing. Norwalk High School. I see Diana here. I just want to let you know that I asked Joanne from my office to work with you on the whole temporary setup for the parent group in terms of the use of
the concessions.
Concession kind of thing. So she's come with some ideas. I think she's communicated with you. So you know, I think there's some good ideas there that I think I think this some solution that will benefit both sides in terms of managing costs as well as provide meeting all your needs, all the parents' needs.
Yes, we have been in communication. Actually, you just reminded me that we needed to touch base and get updated information. But thank you, and I'm glad that we're able to, you know, have these conversations so that moving forward we can still fundraise for the students.
She's being very creative and trying to figure out how this will be done. I think I mean she was talking to me and Sandra today about it, so happens, and I think that there's good possibilities. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, before Alan decides to backtrack, any questions on any of the project updates? We have another update that we want to share with you, but it's separate from the school construction projects. It has to do with something else. So if we're okay to move on, I'll move us along. All right. So Alan, you're back on. Did you want to talk about the HVAC grant?
Oh, yeah.
I could set some context, Alan. I apologize
Sure.
for doing that. So as you know, there was an HVAC grant that had opened in the winter that we applied for. When in our application, we did not receive the grant. So this was something that was a little controversial because some area districts received the grant. We then went to the city and asked to partner. The city had already been helping us with this grant. And we went to the city and asked Alan essentially to partner with us. And Leisha King actually was instrumental in fostering that partnership. And so then we do have another round of funding that's coming up. And Alan and the team have been leading that work. Alan, I have the timeline if you want me to just project it in the background while you speak, or
Sure.
you let me know. That makes good sense? Okay, so then I'll let you take it away, Alan.
Well, it's actually me and Bill's office. Me and Bill work together on this stuff. I think what Sandra was being kind about was that the state process that was set up, it's kind of the application process is very challenging. It's the way it's being formatted and the requirements and all, it's not easily for community to apply for. So what happens that with the anticipation there's another round coming out, but that we do not know when the deadline is. There's no submission deadline. But in order to be in position to apply for this, there's a number of steps that we need to do. The first thing is we would need to hire mechanical consultants to actually evaluate the buildings. So what we did was this, me and Bill, mostly Bill actually, we went through the list of all school buildings, 19 school, 20 now, I think 19 or 20, whatever, how many we have. Look at each building to determine what the needs are. Typically, this is kind of interesting. The city right now is getting reimbursable rates of 60%. Traditionally, it's 33%. But the time when this grant was approved by the state, the same time the city got the 60% reimbursable rate. So when the grant was approved, it didn't tie to the new rates that we have now. So it's tied to the old rate of 33%. So Senator Duff is in the process of requesting the state to amend state legislation to amend it so that the city will get 60% for this grant as well. So again, right now it's 30%, but we're looking to get approval of 60%. Typically for projects, the state does not fund improvement projects or replacements, such as the boiler replacement, doesn't get reimbursement. They only fund like new schools, new programming, and hazard remediation, maybe one or two other things. That's about it. So again, when you replace a boiler, it's not eligible. But this grant is HVAC, which is indoor air quality issues and stuff like that. So typically, we would not get, if we do. I think one of the projects is I think it's Silvermine, right, Bill? it's a boiler replacement. Typically, we're not getting reimbursement for that, but now we are potentially getting 60% reimbursement, which is substantial. So again, so right now what we asked to do is, so I developed this timeline, again, without knowing what the submission day is, but the process is long. First, we gotta go look for a mechanical consultant to do a conceptual design. So we issued an RFP about 3 weeks ago, and we're getting proposal, I believe, is tomorrow. Then I have to submit it to the Land Use Building Management Committee on June 6th, I believe, June 7th, for approval. And then we can go designing to do some conceptual design and cost estimating, which is required by the state grant application. And then we have, by doing those studies, we can determine what needs are, what the existing condition are, what it needs, as well as the cost estimate, so that we can look at all those numbers and figure out what project we may want to submit to the state. We are looking potentially $10 million or more on, with these projects. So it's a substantial number, and I had to go for a special appropriation process because the state requires to have our share of the money approved. And then afterward, we need to do education specs and all the other stuff that put together the application. But potentially this is a $10 or more million worth of project. So I need to work with the city to figure out what the city can afford for the next few years. Maybe this program probably will last about 3 to 4 years to do. So we need to look at all that to see how much money the city is willing to can afford to put up for the next few years. So if it's $10 million, the city share will be about $4 million. $4 million in the event that it's in the event that we get the 60% reimbursement rate.
So we compiled a list of 6 schools based on the tiering and the last facility assessment study, which was done in 2021. Obviously, we would not want to make any upgrades to the New Jefferson. And here is a list of the schools and the items at each school which we plan to address. As Alan had mentioned, it is our hope to get $10 million, of which 60% of that will come back to us. However, if you look at these proposed jobs here, it is most likely in excess of 10 million. So we might do a mixed bag. All projects at one school, perhaps a handful at one school, so on and so forth. I think the biggest ticket here is Brian McMahon with the central air conditioning. And we do know that Brian McMahon is on the last of the tiering. There's no scheduled upgrades for Brian McMahon for decades from now. So why not take advantage of that money now where we can apply it there, and to Silvermine and so on and so forth. So the schools and the projects goals listed in each school is what Sandra is now scanning through.
And I just want to note one other thing is that when I talk about $10 million, it's just really a number top of our head, me and Bill's. I think when you add up these projects, potentially they could be $15–20 million. But at the same time, it's I don't know what the balance is and the affordability of a capital budget to support all of this, but it's an opportunity to get 60% on something that we're not getting anything for. And I think the other very interesting is that we've been talking about evaluating a potential development of a 25-year school improvement plan. Now, those are major construction about replacing schools and new school, but they are a secondary level improvement. Instead of like, new school for $50–60 million, there's still many projects around that, replacing boiler, replacing roof, replacing that and that. So there are still numerous smaller projects, could be a $2 million here, $3 million here, that we still need to continue to look at. So there are major projects of a new school for $50–60 million, but at the same time, there's also $2 or $5 million projects that kind of go side by side with it. So we are looking at all those financial ability of the city to support and how much time we can spend on this stuff, I mean, we
So in
can't
the
do
eyes
everything
of
at
the
the same time.
state, what they've chosen is they've allocated $150 million post-COVID to be shared across every district in the state. So there's no limit to what we can ask for. And the amount that we will be asking for is quite sizable. So the first round, as we mentioned, has already been expired. I think the second round has close to 90 or $100 million left in it, of which we plan to take advantage of.
So is that list that you were just showing, is that in terms of priority of the schools, meaning the ones
Yeah.
at the top of the list would get work done first, or is that how that list is created?
The list is created, I think when we look at I think some of the priority schools actually Nathan Hale and West Rock. We are looking
But for
at those.
this grant, but for
Yeah,
this
for this
grant,
But the reason
yes.
why those two are not on here is because we're looking at those as the major projects. So this summer, actually, we are doing bathrooms at Nathan Hale, but at the same time, our goal is not to rip out the entire bathroom. We are doing improvement that with like a 10-year goal kind of thing, so that we're not putting more money into it when we are potentially doing a major renovation project or rebuild in the future years. So there's different strategy behind the scene that we're looking at. And also, Bill, you're doing air conditioning over there, right?
Nathan Hale this summer will be doing air conditioning, yes.
Right, the air conditioning project that Bill's working on, it's some of the window units, some of them are a split unit, but it's really not a centralized unit or a full permanent improvement. So it's a project like that, it's not reimbursable by state because they don't look at it as like a 20-year investment kind of thing.
So can I just,
Sure.
Alan, if I may interject, so just so that we're, the HVAC grant, we originally had applied for Nathan Hale for the air conditioning at Nathan Hale, and then later on discovered that that's possibly not even something that would have been covered because it's not the type of project that is supposed to actually lead to the improvements that they want to see, which are major improvements for school facilities. So then when we went back to the drawing board, we chose and prioritized projects that are not the priorities in the 25-year plan, because those projects that are in those 6 projects that are in the 25-year plan, hopefully will have some renovations. So we chose the second tier that have these major improvements that still need to get done. And we're seeking this
Gotcha.
round of funding for it. Yeah, so it's sort of like
It's just specific.
there are other buildings that
needs.
if somebody sees this, they'll say like, well, that's not the priority, but there's another plan for those schools. And we didn't want to commingle them because we don't want to start to sort of compete with one another for these funding sources. So these are the priority for this grant because these do not live in the priorities for the 25-year construction plan.
It is amazing that, I was responsible for building Brian McMahon High School in 2003. And right now it's 20 years already. It's, and mechanical system typically will last 20, 25 years, depends the type of use and condition. And, in today's technology and stuff, equipment doesn't last as long as traditionally, unfortunately. But there's so much more technology, but yet they don't last, right? So, by the time we do this, I mean, Brian has 20 years and, we're going to continue to be spending money in that building, even though that's one of our newer buildings. So it is challenging to find that balance about looking at the future, but the future, some of this stuff is actually now kind of thing, because, taking care of this and that, it helps us to, extend the life of the systems.
So at Brian McMahon, real quickly in particular, we are proposing funding to replace the existing central air chiller and introduce air conditioning to the gymnasium at Brian McMahon, which does not have air conditioning. The entire building is central air minus the gym. Norwalk High, central air minus the gym. The new Norwalk High will be central air in the gym. So it's about time that Brian McMahon gets that as well, since we're requesting to replace the chiller plant.
I think when we go through the cost estimate and design, I think I think now at that point, we will find a balance between how much we can affect. We will see what we can and cannot do. And then, we got to continue to prioritize what we can and cannot do. So I think that list that we have is probably like $20 million.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the city is prepared to do that, but again, I'm not speaking for the city. I want to give the city, the mayor and the common council the opportunity to look at all of it. And then we can decide what we can afford. And then and then at the same time, as staff, me and Bill will continue to prioritize and put out a project and an application that fits both our operating as well as financial needs.
So this is just the initial beginning, that this is going to go before land. There's a piece of this that has to be approved with land use next week or in 2 weeks almost. And so then we wanted to just bring this to your attention as one of the things that we'll keep updating you on. Okay. It's this grant as far as indoor air quality. I know that is something that comes up a lot. It comes up with our teachers in terms of the air conditioning. It comes up with our families because of the air conditioning concerns. So we just wanted to make sure that we have your support and also that you're in the know that we are paying attention to this, but we're really trying hard to make sure that we maximize this grant. Okay.
Yeah, from listening to Bill, I mean, the top 3 priorities: Brian McMahon, Marvin, and Brookside. Right?
Brookside. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that are in the most dire need right now.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you mentioned Marvin, because I'm curious to know what the upgrades are there. Because I've been hearing chatter about issues with heat in their classrooms now, like all year. Like,
So the proposal there is to replace all of the heating and air conditioning, what we call RTUs, rooftop units. There's about 5 of them up on the roof, and our proposal is to replace them all with a new control system to provide adequate and effective heating and cooling.
and is that happening this summer?
Oh, that's part of what we plan to review and add
Yeah.
to the grant application for this.
So Carol-
The grant?
It's part of the grant because we had asked for the capital. I don't want to bring up old stuff, but we had asked for the capital.
Oh, because I'm
funds.
here, right?
Yeah, well, when Alan's not in the room, we can talk about it, but we had asked to, as part of our capital requests, and we did not receive it. So now
Yeah.
we're putting it onto the grant.
But then that means the timing of that for
Of
Marvin
course,
is like pushed out even more.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But we do want to, we understand that there's a system and we want to maximize what we can, but obviously everybody is pulling from the same purse string. So, and that doesn't reflect on Alan and I's relationship or with Bill either, because our offices work really great together. But there are some priorities that get pushed back because of lack of funding. So we're now trying to approach it from this other angle.
Got it. Thank you.
So any questions? We're right at the 7 o'clock mark. We thought this was going to be a brief meeting.
So much good stuff.
Yeah.
So
Exciting.
we definitely want to make sure that you understand what we are communicating to you, and that when people approach you, that you're able to speak to these items. So I take your feedback when we're talking about timelines. We'll make sure to have something in writing so that everyone could follow along. Any other feedback or any other questions, we're happy to entertain.
Nothing
No, just-
specific. Oh, sorry,
Oh,
Diana. go
no,
ahead.
but thank you for all the work that everyone's been doing, because I know that even the grants, that takes a lot of time and effort. And all this planning, because you guys are planning for so many schools, so many projects, all at the same time. But thank you.
Thank you. It
No,
helps
very-
when we like each other.
Absolutely.
It
That's why we're
does.
office mates, Alan.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Colin, any questions, Colin, or anything that we can help with?
Another thank you for the very thorough update. I think it's
Okay,
for us on the board to lose sight of how much is being done behind the scenes, and
correct.
it's really, really helpful for this update so we can be up to speed. So thank you.
Yes, and I just want to say that, like, you know, this is in this office, like in these two departments, is the city and NPS work hand in hand. We work in tandem. I think that we want to make sure that that is also part of our narrative. It's not always us against them. We actually couldn't get through our work without having that collaboration.
Yeah, I get Bill coffee every morning before he starts.
Yeah.
There you
And I
go.
buy the donuts.
And the donuts.
Teamwork.
All right,
Teamwork.
thank you very much.
Sounds like that's the secret to a
Well,
good
wait,
marriage.
well,
That's
yeah,
it.
thank you
That's it.
guys so much. I'll turn the meeting
Yeah.
back over to you, Kara, and
Sure, yes. Great. So thank you, everybody, for sharing all this wonderful information. We're super excited. I know that a lot of great stuff is going to be happening over the summer. So excited to keep our conversations going. So if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.